This week's show, sponsored by Sassy Jack Stitchery, is not our usual needle art designer interview. The good folks at the Royal School of Needlework, through publisher Search Press, have published a new book that we feel should be in the library of every needleworker. The book, 200 Essential Embroidery Stitches, is an excellent print extension of the Royal School's powerful stitch bank. In this week's show, Beth and Gary do an in-depth review of the book. Prior to publishing this week's show, we contacted Kim at Sassy Jack's, and she has ordered a supply so you can order the book and have it shipped to you as soon as Kim receives her shipment. Speaking of Sassy Jack's, visit their website to sign up for the Jeanette Kirtland 1821 Stitch Along, place your 2025 Nashville Market order, and do that soon so Kim can order from the designers, and sign up for any of the several 2025 workshops, such as the Spring and Summer Soirees, the Best Seal Susquehanna Valley Sampler and Smalls in-person event, August 1st, and the Claudia Dutcher Kistler Dutch Treat Designs Workshop celebrating Victorians and perforated paper, October 3 and 4. Also, Kim will be teaching a finishing class, and Sassy Jack's will have a shop at the Fiber Talk Needle Arts Weekend, March 21 to 23. Registration details are at wetalkfiber.com/weekend. Thanks to Kim and the folks at Sassy Jack's for sponsoring this week's show. We hope you enjoy our review of the new RSN book and encourage you to order a copy from Sassy Jack Stitchery at sassyjackstitchery.com. Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you're listening to Fiber Talk, the twice-weekly podcast for the needlework artist. Artists is plural.
Us.
More than one. Yeah.
There's two of us. Yep.
So this Sunday, today, we're going to have a different show. Beth and I both have copies of the Royal School of Needlework book. That is, yes, there's proof we both have a copy right there.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
200 Essential Embroidery Stitches, and this is an offshoot from their Stitch Bank. And if you don't have the Stitch Bank, RSN Stitch Bank, which is rsnstitchbank.org, if you don't have that bookmarked, you need to do that, because. And I don't. It doesn't matter to me if you just do cross stitch or if you just do needlepoint or whatever. You need to have this resource identified and bookmarked because it is incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. It's free. It's what, 400. Well, the book says when they printed the book, more than 500 stitches. On the website, when I checked today, it said 475. So. Okay, let's argue over 25 stitches. I noticed a cool thing when I was on the website, the Stitch Bank. Mm-hmm. There is an item on there. There's a feature on there where you can set up your own stitches. I had not noticed that.
I had not seen that. Ooh, take a note.
Think about that. You can go in there and you can look up stitches and you can add them to your own personal folder. So 500 stitches, every time you go to do it, if there's a stitch you want to use or one you think you might use, put it in your own folder, and then you don't have to search. And then if you're stitching and you go, wait a minute, I'm not doing this right, you don't have to go searching. It's right there. Mm-hmm. Nice. Somebody's thinking over there in England. I'm telling you, somebody's thinking. Yeah.
They're great. It's a great resource, and it's eye candy. It's just something to go look at all the different stitches.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of fun.
Yep.
Just to look through them.
Yep. That is really good. And so the book, now, for a lot of us, and I know a lot of people get in a stitching situation where they don't have the online, you don't have the internet available to them, may not have it, or just like a book. A lot of people simply still like books. So this book they put together, this is 200. They went through and it was, they kind of identified, what was it? The 200 are the stitches that are known in many cultures.
Right. Right. So
Yeah,
not just in London or UK, it's everywhere. And that's what was interesting is they kind of identified where they were used as part of the little blurb in the book, which I
yeah,
loved reading those.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, is that to me that was the cool part, and that was when we were getting ready for this show. I had to cut myself off because you know how you when you look up a word in the dictionary and then there's another
Hmm.
word, what's that word? And pretty soon a
Right.
half hour's gone by. That was starting to happen to me here in this book.
Right. 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 Because they'll reference other stitches. They'll say, well,
Yep,
this is similar to this stitch. And you go flip through. It's like, okay, what stitch are they talking about?
yep,
I'm
yep,
like, wait.
yep. And there's some history in there. This stitch was
Hmm.
called the this and the this, and it's as what was it? The cross stitch? Is it the cross stitch that was? No, the chain stitch is one of the oldest from the Tang Dynasty in the first millennium.
Hmm.
So you start to learn about that, and they said they found the chain stitch in Tutankhamun's in clothing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's why when you go to museums and you look and there's Egyptian things and then there's just this little snippet of fabric somewhere and you're like and you look close and you're like, does that look like cross stitch or chain stitch
yep,
or yeah, in that and you're like, hey, I read that in my book.
yep, yep. Well, and on the chain stitch, then, and this is where I stopped, was I discovered there's a variation where you put threads of two different colors in your needle and you then do a chain with alternating colors. Did not know that existed.
Now, see, I knew that one existed, but
Did
I
you?
haven't been able to do it, so I was thrilled to see it in here because I'm like, okay, the image, because a lot of times other books I have, they're good, but that's not explained as well as it has been in here. And I'm a book person. I have to admit, I don't normally look things up online, or if I do, I'm looking for the images of a step by step. So if it's a video, it drives me crazy
Yeah.
for some reason. I can't sit and watch a video and stitch it
Mm-hmm.
normally. I like the images one right after because I like the pictures.
Right. Right.
So I can look through
Well,
them. And so the diagrams on this are fantastic.
yeah. Really well done. Well, and I'm with you on the video. I've never been a visual learner. I'm one who reads. I've always been like that. You know, everybody learns differently, and I
Hmm.
read and comprehend, and then that's how I learn. Videos are nice, and I use them. I use YouTube, but just give me a book. Really, just just write it out. I'll get it. But I have trouble with that very thing too. When you're doing a video on YouTube, because you want to stop it. You need to stop it at the appropriate moment. And by the time you stop it, you've already gone past it, and you got to back up and blah 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 blah. You're back and forth. It's like, wait a minute, just give me some pictures and show me the
Hmm.
steps. I'll get it. Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
right, right,
Yep.
right. And it's just nice. It's just nice to have them step by step laid out there so you can really see. And I know you've got a picture of this, but the they have the needle going what direction it needs to go
Yeah.
too. And
Well, here,
that is
let
so
me just
important on some of those
yeah, let
stitches.
me just go to the to this because well, all right,
I mean,
let's just go through the book because otherwise it's going to get
it's gonna get messy.
yeah. So the cool thing, and I'm going to just move the book around for folks. The cool thing is that it shows on the opening one of the opening spreads how to use this book. And this is the key right here. There's color edges. So all the pages have different colored edges on them. And they're all
Right.
grouped. basic stitches, outline and border stitches, filling stitches, shading stitches, open and powdered filling stitch. We're going to talk a bit about powdered filling stitches, edging stitches, and embellishment stitches. So the edges of the book are colored according to that grouping. Which again, somebody's thinking over there in London because at the palace somebody said, "Wait a minute." So it's easy to go to.
Right. And the thing is, when I first got the book, I just randomly started opening it, and I was like, "This make," because I'm not a reader. I think I am, but I'm not. And I just started opening. I was like, "This doesn't make sense. Why is this here? Why is this in this section?" Well, then while we were prepping, I read the introduction, horror of horrors, and
Oh
found
no.
out, oh, they're grouped according to how, their uses, which I was like, well, that's brilliant. So again, I loved how once I realized how they grouped them, I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Because I
Yeah.
knew they're way smarter than I am over in London
Yes, they are.
at the
Yeah,
Royal
they,
School.
they they've done it a couple
Yes.
minutes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so okay, so here's the chain stitch. All right. So then you can see that they always have an example of the stitch from their collection, which yeah,
Right.
probably the hardest part was probably selecting which one of the examples they would have rather than finding an
Right.
example. But so then it gives you each one has an icon, a little symbol. And see, this is the thing. This is where they're thinking because somebody has an education background. Well, they teach. Of course, they have an education background, so they realize that people learn by reading. Some read by reading, some by being told, verbal, and then some by seeing photos or videos or whatever it is. And so they have incorporated this to the best of their ability in a book. And then, of course, when you go to the Stitch Bank, then that has the videos for those people. But if you no matter how you learn, they have fixed it so that you can learn from this material. But so what do we got? We got the symbol, the chain stitch, and then they tell you where it's most commonly used.
Right. Right. And everywhere that's used. I mean, that's to me, it's interesting how many places this simple little stitch is used. I mean, their black work, the crewel work, I knew that just basic stitching, like if you're doing, um, like I think Crazy Quilting uses it. Montbellic, I didn't know that. Surface, that would be the other thing. Stump work and Elizabethan. Um, and I think that was cool how they listed every place that they knew or where it could be used. And I thought
Right.
that was cool. I just liked
Yeah.
that section of it.
And interesting thing about the chain stitch is that when the first sewing machines were developed, that's the stitch that they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the earliest sewing machines did chain stitch because they had not developed the bobbin yet.
Oh,
So, and of course, the problem with the chain stitch is if it comes undone at either end, it all comes undone.
yes.
So that was the drawback. But it wasn't until somebody figured out, and it wasn't Singer, someone figured out how to synchronize the bobbin, the thread coming from the bobbin with the thread coming from the needle to interlock the stitches. It wasn't until then.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's what changed sewing was then because then it doesn't come unraveled.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. I did not know that. I did
right.
not know that. That's interesting.
So
That's
when you
interesting.
talk you talk about the chain stitch, what Tutankhamun's tomb, uh, fourth and third centuries BC, uh, from Siberia BC, Tang Dynasty in the first millennium AD. I mean that thing is so old. That stitch is so old. I mean it's like original type stitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 A nice, a good basic stitch to learn. And I know some people don't like it, but I actually love doing the chain stitch, especially if you stack them next to each other. Um, like almost as a filling stitch sometimes. It gives a nice texture.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and I love the example they have here too of how it's used um, as the outline of the lady,
Yeah.
Juno. Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
One color and one stitch.
Yep. And it's a fast stitch.
Amazing.
It's a fast stitch once
Yeah.
you get going. Yeah.
Right, 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 right. I know some people just don't like it, but I do.
Yeah.
I love it because the things you can do with it.
Well, you're right, and I think that's isn't that the key? Is you can pull it. Your tension gives a different look. It's like you pull it really tight,
Right.
or you can have it a little loose, and
Hmm.
you get different looks. Yeah.
Right, right. And as they showed in the image, they're using I think they're using different widths of thread. So if you use a thicker thread, you get obviously a thicker chain stitch, and then a thinner, for fine detail. It it works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a very cool one. And then what did I? Oh, the sampler stitch, the cross stitch. I thought, okay, what do they say about the cross stitch? And counted thread, canvas work, cross stitch, surface Berlin, wool work, stump work. But then I loved all the different names for making an X.
Right, right.
So the
Yeah, the
sampler
sampler
stitch,
stitch. Yeah, cross point, cushion stitch, point de croix stitch, point de marquet stitch, or simple cross stitch. It's like, okay,
it's an X.
it's an X. It's an X, and you can use it a lot of ways.
Yeah,
And I liked it that they do it both. They show you both the English and the Danish method, which people mention that, and I like. And now that I see it, I can say, oh, okay, I see what they're saying. This is why it's different.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it depend. It just depends on what's on the back of it.
Right. Well, and that's right. Sandy P. I don't remember her last name in one of our Wednesday groups, uh, or she sent me posted on one of the YouTube things a long description of different types, different approaches to the cross stitch. That I'm gonna
Hmm.
get a piece of cloth out and I got to test them all out. There was I think three different versions, maybe four that would give different looks. So yeah, there's more to it than just making an X. But
Right, right,
yeah, yeah.
right. But
But I did not
it's
know
a nice
it.
visual.
I didn't know it was Berlin wool work. I didn't know that was cross stitch.
No, I didn't either. I always thought that that was just a tent or
Basket weave. Yeah,
like a basket weave. Right, right,
yeah. Because
right.
when I look at that little example they have, that just looks like wool, needlepoint, basket weave, tent stitch to me. But nope, cross stitch.
Hmm.
So hey, you learn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. How else are you going to learn?
right. Now you had oh, and then when you get to a new section, now here's outline and border stitches. When you get to a new section, there's a general overall look, and then there's a page that shows the symbols that they've created for each of the stitches in that section with the page number for that stitch. Again, somebody said, let's make this useful.
Right. And I have to admit, when I see these little symbols there, it makes me want to do something like learn the stitch, make a little copy of the symbol, and then, put it in my calendar saying, "Oh, I've learned how to do this stitch." It's kind of like a Girl Scout badge or
Oh, okay.
something like that.
A
I don't know why.
sash. So you could have a stitching sash. Oh, I'd pay to see that.
Yes. But there is something about it that just it makes me harken back to those days of having those little patches or having those little things when you've accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be kind of a fun way to go through this book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I look at it and that's what immediately I think of. A little Girl Scout badge. Yeah. And the stitch I really liked in this section, and actually in the is the braid stitch
Yeah.
because and then it takes you, like you were saying, it takes you to another stitch. It says something about it being like the heavy chain stitch on page 76, and which, immediately I had to turn to. I was like, well, what do they mean, the heavy
Well,
braid stitch?
let's just turn to 76.
Um,
Ooh, that is
and
it. Oh, yeah.
yeah, isn't that cool?
Holy
I
smokes, that's
we
cool.
Yes, and I we were doing a More Than a Rose, the group correspondence class. Now, I don't think it was the braid stitch we did, and I don't think it was this heavy chain stitch. It must have been a slightly different one. But anyways, I love this picture here of the braid stitch, how the diagram moves across, because how they have the needle pointing, because I think that's really important on some of these more complicated stitches,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have your needle going in the right direction to get the stitch to work properly.
Yeah.
It just, if you don't have that needle going the right way, it does it doesn't matter. That stitch is not gonna work.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I now it makes me want to try this because I see it how it's looped up there, and I'm thinking, won't that snag on something? But I've got to try it. I just have to try the stitch.
Now this is curious. See this is the trouble with this book is you start looking at these and you go, wait a minute, I got to go try this. I got to see how this goes.
Right.
And I started thinking about, well, wait a minute, I didn't know this stitch existed. I could use this here. Or what if you changed a different stitch, changed out a stitch for this? Or
Mhm.
yeah, it's a dangerous book. It really is.
Right. So so this one with the braid stitch, it must be good to kind of move and give you a nice thick line and move in curves.
Mm-hmm.
It must have that ability if they used it for Elizabethan and stump work. So, and with stump work, that means you could use a thicker thread with it probably. So to get it more raised up.
Yeah.
So that again, it gets my little mind to working.
Well, I think of your casket.
Right, right. You know, what can I use the stitch on? And yeah, and I got to try it. I just gonna have to get a needle and thread and try it.
Yeah. So then the heavy chain stitch.
Yes. Now I've done something similar to that. I do believe.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on
I
in that stitch.
Yeah, it again though, I see how, I like how they have the needle going around.
Yeah.
It helps you to make sense that you're moving in this. I know when I try to teach people, it's like, okay, you're kind of moving in a circle. And
Yeah.
but you see that in the images. You're moving around the piece. If you don't know that, it's easy to kind of mess some of those things up. And ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
Yep. Well, and the diagrams are just simple. They're simple and
Right,
easily followed. It's really well done.
right,
Yep.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Now this was the um this checkered chain stitch. I did not know this existed. This is the one I mentioned earlier, where we can get two colors going um, in one needle.
Right. Yeah.
Looks like it might take
And
a
I
bit of
have,
practice.
yes, and I've never been able to get that to work. I'd
No?
love to. I've tried it, but the images on this and the diagrams on it are fantastic, and I think that will make it a lot easier because it's very, very step by step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one we need to try.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and we were going to talk about the powdered. This was well, you had when you sent me the your notes. You had said, "What is the powdered stitch?" And I went to the website and looked it up to the Stitch Bank, and it explained um, powdered. What was it? What is it called? Open and
Powdered,
powdered filling
powdered.
stitches.
Right, right. And I was like, what did they mean by that? It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. So what it says on the website, powdered fillings are where isolated stitches are scattered across the design area, so the ground fabric is still clearly visible between them. The stitches can either be regularly spaced or randomly distributed. The density may also vary within the design area. For instance, close together in the center and more widely spaced toward the edge. Orientation of the stitch can be consistent or varied. So there's your background playground, is what that is.
Yeah, and then I realized they meant things like the I think the seed stitches in this the
Yeah,
seeding stitch,
let me make
which is
sure.
a great example of what they mean by um, powdered laying filling stitches,
Yeah,
which is on page 265.
thank
If
you.
you Yeah, because once you said that, it was like, okay, that makes sense. You could do the seeding stitch with beads. That's where I've seen it in Japanese. Well, I've seen it a lot of places. It's common. Um, but it does give shading, um,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah, depending
But
on your
people
density. Yeah.
hmm and people use it with beads even, um, fill in closer with beads and then kind of scatter them out, which also works.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. So yeah. So,
Hmm
but what a strange name, powdered.
Yes.
That
It's like,
doesn't.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It
yeah, the
didn't quite make
powdered.
sense.
How many? There's. I mean, this whole section is
Filling and
15, 25, 26 stitches in that section alone. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wild.
and yeah. And I thought, and two, it makes sense when you think of it as two as some of the blackwork stitches,
Mm-hmm.
because depending on the density you put in, it changes the design.
Yeah, I like this one, the battlement couching stitch.
Have you tried that one before?
I think I have. When I saw it, I thought, oh, I stitched that before, but I didn't know it was called the battlement couching stitch. Um,
Yeah. I,
yeah,
I again, the the way they've got these images laid out, I think I've done it before, but I don't think I executed it very well. Let's put it that way. So this is great though, because it really walks you through and shows you what it should look like when it's done.
yeah,
Sometimes I think when you get a diagram, it might show you, okay, like the first step, and then say, oh, well, continue on doing this, and then it looks like the last step, six. And I'm like, wait, I missed something in between.
yeah, yeah. That, yeah. Continue as, yeah. Continue
I
what?
don't continue what? What do you want me to do? I need a picture. Send me a picture. So that's great. And um yeah, I love that
Yeah,
stitch.
yeah. That was a good one. Yep. Um, yeah, yeah. The minute I saw it, I'm sure I've done that, but yeah, you don't know. And that's the thing with the names is we learn all the different names that they've been able to collect from around the world, and uh, it's because the same stitch. Well, I think we've got Yvette Stanton coming up here in a couple of weeks, and she's a master of that, traveling around the world
Hmm
and finding these stitches and putting them in
Right.
her book and learning, well, this is the thus and such, and well, no, here we call it this, and yeah, so and was it the buttonhole Corone? Oh yeah,
Yes.
oh yeah, this one,
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never done that before, but that looks like that would be so much fun to do.
yeah, also known as the head bow ring, the corone, crown, or buttonhole ring.
Well, now that you've said that, I thought I've done a head-to-bow ring.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, maybe I've done this.
Head bow embroidery is a whitework tradition from Zealand and Denmark. We're going to have to ask Yvette when we talk to her.
Yes, yeah,
Make a
yeah.
note. Yeah. Use a knitting
Yeah, but it,
needle. Use a knitting needle or a head bow stick.
yeah, because you've got to have it the right size. That's why, see, their little wood stick has all those little various wood sizes on it.
Right.
So you
So
know which size you need to use your for your making your little ring.
yeah. But I started when I saw that, I thought, now there's one. You talk about embellishment,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
great embellishment stitch there. Yeah.
Right. Right. And I could see, well, I like sparkly, so I could see adding beads, doing the ring, taking it off maybe, and adding like a ring of beads around it
Mm-hmm.
somehow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And that would be really, really pretty.
Yeah.
I
So
wonder what other threads you could use with it too.
I don't know.
I mean, I
Who
wonder
was that?
like if some of the stump work ones would work.
Who was that lady that we talked to that was doing the wheels? What
You
were
mean
those?
Ariane Zurcher?
No, 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 no. She was from Europe. She did those wheel things. Uh,
Dorset buttons?
yeah, Dorset buttons. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Oh
reminded me of
yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to think. How do we do Dorset buttons?
You have but you have a plastic or metal ring, a
Right.
wood or a rigid thing that you stitch over. These are not that.
No, because this would be all, once you started putting tension on it to go across and do your spokes, it kind of might cause issues.
Right.
It kind of crumple in or something.
Yeah. But yeah, in studying Yvette Stanton's, putting us back on screen, studying Yvette Stanton's book on filling stitches, which is what we're going to talk to her about. The minute I saw those, I thought, well, wait a minute. Could we take some whitework filling stitches and fill in those rings?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Why
then what
not?
would and then you say beads.
Right. Put beads on it.
Now you start to build something that, yeah,
Right. Right. Start to make something else with it
right. So
and use it as embellishment
take
for
those.
something.
So take a Christmas tree background, just a crude, simple Christmas tree stitched with stem stitch or whatever. Who cares? And then make ornaments with these corone
Right.
buttonhole corones. Make ornaments.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you could do it with a sparkly thread.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Dig into your rainbow gallery collection and start
Right.
having fun.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Why not? Because you're just doing a buttonhole stitch around it.
Yeah. Some beads,
Yeah.
little filling
Add a
stitch.
little a little
Yep.
sparkle and then especially on some of those, they've got, real elaborate needlepoint canvases. Um, that would be fun to do that. Just even paint a canvas yourself,
Mm-hmm.
do a simple triangle so that way, you have that background in there. You do fun stitches and then just you can attach them, even make like a advent calendar sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get some
That would work.
Swarovski or whatever crystals, suspend them in those
Mm-hmm.
rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
could have a great time.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea. That's a
See,
great idea.
That's what happens with books like this. Yeah, your
Yes.
mind starts working. So,
Yeah.
yep,
And I think, and I do like having a book, because I know Cindy was like, said, well, I use the Stitch Bank, but I don't always have that option when I'm sitting down and stitching. Sometimes I just want to open up a book and look at the pictures and have it open in front of me and go back and forth to my stitching
yeah,
and look at it.
yeah,
So,
yep. And there are two indexes in the back. One that
mhm,
is indexed by use, and then indexed by stitch name, so you can find it either way. So
right.
that's really nice. Okay, is this a book that you take and have it the spine cut off and have it spiral bound?
I don't have any problems with it laying open.
Yeah,
It lays open very nicely without breaking the spine,
right.
and the pages aren't flopping.
It
So I
it
don't think I
hurts.
would.
It hurts me to think of cutting this book
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah. I don't think I'd do that to this one. Um, but like I said, it opens without a problem. Oh, I didn't notice it has a little purple bookmark in
And
there.
Andy bookmark ribbon right there. That's what I was just
I didn't
hollering out.
notice that.
Yep.
I just noticed that.
Oh look, I'm
Look at
holding
that.
this up like maybe if I could sing, I would be in a choir. Never mind.
Not going to happen at my house. Um,
Nope, not
yeah,
here.
no, I don't think well, you can see I already put
Oh
my
yeah.
little Post-it notes in it.
Yep. Yep.
Which, for books that I know I'm going to use a lot, then I'm going to go referencing. I put
Hmm.
them in and I just leave them where they're going to be
Yeah.
because it's,
Yep. But
then I can
yeah,
flip to it when I need.
this is one of those that gets dog-eared
Hmm.
in
But
short order.
it's a good, yeah, it's a good one to use. It's a usable book, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Very functional. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna have to make my little self a little Girl Scout sash with all the
I
little.
know. That
You
mental
can see
image
it,
of
can't you?
I can't stitch till I put my sash on. I'm Beth.
I'm Beth. I'm Beth, and I've got to do another little stitch so I can have another little um, badge
Yeah. Okay,
for my
so
collection.
all right, so the Royal School starts selling little metal like 3/4 inch circles that you can
Hmm.
buy for each stitch you've mastered. And then you hang
Right,
them on your sash. Yeah.
and then you have. I mean, and you'll have 200.
Right. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
be
And then
amazing.
if you go to the stitch bank, so okay, so there's two levels of master stitchers. One who can do
Mm,
all the stitches in the book, and then one who's done all the stitches on the stitch bank.
yeah, yeah,
See, there we go.
yeah. Oh, you'd make a charm bracelet if it was little metal things.
Yeah.
A necklace.
There's your conversation starter. Oh, I like your charm bracelet. What are those? Oh no, here we go. Glazed over eyes.
I
Wow,
can
these are all
do.
the stitches I've mastered.
I can do the burden stitch and the French knot.
Hmm.
The colonial one I have not yet mastered, so I'm gonna take a good look at that one because that's
Okay,
one I can do the French knot in my sleep pretty much, but that
that
colonial
colonial.
knot,
Yeah, I don't even like it, so I don't bother with it. So yeah,
yes, someone says it's good for filling though, so that if you want to fill bigger spaces, it's better than the French knot.
really, I'd never
Yeah,
heard that. Okay, I think it's
so it makes
ugly.
me think.
So I'd rather have the French knot. So it's and yeah, getting the French knot right is getting that correct is. But once you get it,
Right,
it's automatic.
right,
Yeah,
right, and it makes such a pretty little rose
yeah,
shape there
that's why I
on it.
like it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're filling with, to me, if you're filling with it, it's a much better visual. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, a lot of people
but
just hate it. People will run the other way in a full
see, I
sprint.
love the French knot. I love the French knot.
Yeah, yep,
Uh,
yep.
so
All right, so that's it. Get this book. Oh,
yeah,
and
highly recommend.
get this book. £30 UK, $40 US, $45 Canada. That's the price on the back. That's the other thing. This book, hardbound, 200 stitches. Usually these hobby books, a book of this size would be $100, 80, 90,
Yeah,
$100. Yeah,
Right.
$40 US. That's the other
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's well put together. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the binding's nice.
Yep.
It's hefty. The pages are nice. I'm sorry. Well, no, I'm tactile. I gotta admit, I think you could even, well, I don't know if you could write on these if you needed to. I think I'd put a post-it note in there is what I
Yeah.
would do if I needed to make notes.
Yeah.
But
No, the ink would smear. I about guarantee it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, but I just looked at the long and short stitch. Okay, close the book, Beth. Close the book.
But Search Press,
Right.
they do, yeah, they do a truckload of what the finest art and craft books, but they do an excellent job of printing and binding and publishing. All their books are really well done, and this one is exceptional. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Highly recommend.
Yep.
2 thumbs up.
Get it. You need it. Trust us.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks
Yes.
for listening.
Bye.